The biggest story in hockey that shocked and rattled the hockey world was the coming out of the Kyle Beach interview, which, as we all know, the happened in 2010. He was a black ace on the Blackhawks roster, came up from junior, and was sexually assaulted by the video coach of the Blackhawks at that time. And basically, he reported it to the team, and they swept it under the rug. There's now talk of the PA, what they should have done, what the NHL should have done. Let's get some quick thoughts on it. I know it's been bandied about and talked about for the last week or so. My initial reaction was I was a bit disgusted. And I know I understand that, going into a Stanley Cup playoffs or Stanley Cup final, you want to be focused and you don't want distractions. But what kind of distraction would you really be giving if you're firing the video coach? He collects the video for the team. I mean, I'm not seeing. I'm missing something here. And if that was my son, think about it. If that was your son out there, I think anybody, when you look at it from that perspective, it's just disgusting the way the Blackhawks handled it. And the league handled it as well. They've been trying to hide. It seems like they've been trying to hide this details from getting out. And kudos to Rick West, head of TSN, who's been a great investigative journalist and really dug deep and gotten the true story out here.
So fill me in. What happened? No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Not to make light of the situation. Very tough for me. More along the lines of just you hear the kind of this stuff happens in minor hockey. We as coaches deal with. I've never dealt with something like this. I've dealt with some other issues in my years, not me personally, but seeing things within hazing and things like that, which, you try to address and educate. I think the key word is here. But I think, if I'm going to take a different stance on this one, I don't know if you guys caught the Bettman press conference today. That guy is such a lawyer. It's not even funny. But listen, a lot of deflections and such. But my whole thing is, what did you expect the guy to say? He works for 32 bosses. The NHL is a business. All right, it's not a telethon. It's not a 188 helpline. Okay, it's a business, and we may not want to admit it, we may not like it, but Gary Bettman is standing there today thinking about sponsors, thinking about his television contract. He can say all he wants about this incident and how sorry he is, but we all know nothing's really going to change within the NHL. The game itself, yes, and I hope it does, but you guys tell me what really is going to change in the NHL. A couple of guys has resigned and lost their positions, but I think that's more of a publicity thing, kind of sweeping under the rug. It had to be done. But we saw the same thing with Akeem Aliu with the racist comments. What's been done from there? We saw the incident in Ukraine with the guy with the banana peel to the hockey. I can't remember his name. Like this stuff, it just doesn't resonate. And the hockey culture drastically has to change, and we've said this for numerous examples of things across the game. It hasn't changed. It's going to take time, but it has not changed a bit. And I don't see things changing in the NHL for a while. And Gary Bettman is not going to be the guy to change that. As long as he's in power, he spent more effort trying to keep Arizona in the league than he will trying to protect, players from this happening. So. That's kind of my soapbox right there.
You just stated the very reason why they should make a change, because it hasn't come. We haven't made strides enough in hockey. Like this whole culture thing has all been under Gary Bettman's watch. Let's go through Gary Bettman's report card here. He's been the head of the NHL during 3 lockouts. He instituted the hard cap, which at the time was good for the league, but now, quite frankly, it sucks. And we talk about parity, and I've talked about how I think that's BS. It doesn't give parity. It's a false sense of parity. We've got the racist issue with Akeem Aliu. Apparently, they were supposed to do an investigation on it. They haven't got back to him yet. It's been over a year. Now this Blackhawks incident, they fined the Blackhawks $2 million. That's it. The Devils, they fined them $3 million and made them forfeit picks for circumventing the cap. The Coyotes, they made them forfeit picks because they did physical testing to draft eligible players. So these teams had to forfeit picks for these two reasons, but a team hiding a sexual assault of a 20-year-old player, you don't have to forfeit any picks for that, just $2 million, which is nothing for an NHL hockey team. The way this whole thing has been handled by him, yeah, it's lawyer speak. Yeah, I get it. He's a businessman and he represents them, but I'm sorry, it's time for a shakeup and he needs to go. Listen, you could talk all about how he makes the owners money. You know what? You know who made the NBA owners a lot of money? David Stern. You know who makes them even more money? Adam Silver. So I don't want to hear about that he makes the money, because I'm sure there's a lot of other smart people out there that can get the NHL to make the money. And I'm sorry, under Gary Bettman's watch, this league is number 4 in the sports landscape in North America, and it's not even close to number 3 or 2. And it keeps falling behind. It is time for a shakeup at the top.
And like, I want to just clarify that Gary Bettman's not going to get rid of bad stuff in hockey. Just like, no matter who's the president of a country, or you're never going to get rid of bad people. But it's not about action; it's about the reaction. And the reaction to this was so bad, and his reaction to everything just seems really bad. Like, this was a bad dude. I can't remember the guy's name, the video coach, but
don't worry about it.
I don't even want to. Yeah, I don't even
whatever his name was. This guy was a bad dude, and there's no way of changing culture that he doesn't do this. But you have to come down swiftly, and as soon as it happens, eliminate this. He's going to do it. You have to react much quicker to stop this kind of stuff. And it was hard to watch the interview. I got halfway through and I'm like, I can't do it. It was hard to see, Kyle Beach kind of struggling to get through it. I was getting, it really sucked. But the Chicago Blackhawks basically said it was winning over everything. They said, we're doing it, like, to not take action. They prioritize winning over, other stuff, which, I mean, looking back now, it was really, really silly. Like, I think there's not debatable. And I'm kind of with you, Joe. I understand there's a double standard in sport. We see the NFL going through it right now with Deshaun Watson, where Deshaun Watson has 800, cases of sexual misconduct, and yet he still has a job because he's Deshaun Watson. If this was Mitch Trubisky that had the exact same cases, he would be out of the league. He'd be off the team. But because he is who he is, Deshaun Watson is getting as much rope as he can. This was not Johnny Tays or Patty Kane, who went through his own stuff. This was the video guy. It wasn't a big guy to your organization. I do not understand for the life of me why they went and protected this guy. And then this guy went and did a bunch of other greasy stuff, which makes it even worse, which makes this look even worse. Because had they done something, he doesn't get the job in Michigan. He doesn't get the job in a high school. So this was completely bundled by the Blackhawks. I agree the penalty was not big enough. And I think anybody who knew about this, and Gary is going to do everything he can to cover this up, but anybody who knew anything about this needs to be repercussions. It can't just be Joel Quenneville. He wasn't the only one that knew.
I think a real leader would have looked at this from the greater good and got together with IHF or even Hockey Canada, Hockey USA to start and develop something where, because I'll guarantee you, there's more out there than we know of these incidents. It's unfortunate to say, but this shit's out there, this mind manipulation, and there are players out there that are probably screaming for help. But maybe this is something in that way of getting help. And again, in minor hockey, junior hockey, he could have led the way. Look how progressive the NBA is. The NFL in some ways, but the NBA is probably the best example. NHL, they're followers. They're not progressive in any sense. This could have been a way of being a progressive, doing something progressive to put the NHL on the map. And he's failing to do so. in that regard, both him and Donald Fear, it's time to go.
Frank, that is a great point. And when it comes to stuff like this, it's not just about doing something; it's moving swiftly. There are a lot of, when it comes to like, we hate to talk about it, but domestic abuse stuff, where there are probably, women that go to battered shelters that they want to go get help. They want to get away from a domestic partner, but they're going to go complain and they're going to say, well, go home and we'll fix it. And by that time, guess what happens? She gets beat up so badly that, she doesn't even survive. Stuff like this needs to be handled swiftly. You're right. There's probably hundreds of other people that are experiencing this, experiencing something similar to this, and they're afraid to go to help because they're saying, well, maybe in 10 years, maybe my story might come to light and maybe I'll get help in 10 years. And this stuff has to be dealt with quick and swift and with a powerful iron fist. It has to just swoop across.
Because you have to set a precedent that if this is going to happen and your organization is going to try to sweep something under the rug like this, the penalty is this. It cannot just be a monetary fine of $2 million because these teams make so much money. $2 million is what? It's a parking ticket for you and I. So you got to set the precedent that it's going to come down harsh. And credit to Kyle Beach, showed a lot of bravery and courage to come out. Hopefully this gives the voiceless a voice and gives them the courage to also speak up if something was done to them like this, because it's just, Frankie, you and I, we have kids. We want to put them in hockey, right? We want to be hockey dads, but the thought of having your kid go through this in a sport is just, quite frankly, something that I don't want to expose them to. So stuff like this in hockey, soccer, baseball, whatever it is, has to be dealt with the right way. And it cannot and simply cannot happen. I think we can end it at that.